welcome to a new edition of the Community Solutions Radio Podcast. This time, we're going to talk Champlin. We're going to give a little preview of their upcoming city election. And with me, as always, to my right is Andrew Richter.
Yeah, am I going to get in trouble in another town? Is that what's going to happen?
Town by town, we should see how much trouble we could get in. I like this.
All right, that's a lifetime goal, I guess, to do that. The Champlin elections happening a little different than they are in Crystal.
Yes.
Champlin is a statutory city, not a charter city. So they do have wards. Mm-hmm. There are 4. I'll just explain it real quick.
Okay.
There are 4 wards in Champlin. Wards 1 and 2 are on the west side of town. They are not up for election this year. Wards 3 and 4 on the east side of town, south of the Mississippi River. They are up for election, and the mayor is elected every 2 years in Champlin, which is a little quirk. I can't really think of many cities where that's the case.
Why? Yeah.
Why? I don't know. That's a change I hope is looked into by some people I know running. And basically the way the race stands, just to explain this quick, I live now in Ward 3 in Champlin, and my councilman, Bruce Miller, is running for mayor, along with Ryan Karasik, who's in Ward 1. And then there's 2 other people who aren't really doing much, but they're in the race.
Yeah.
So actually, because they don't have primaries there, I should say that too. They don't have primaries in Champlin. If you're a statutory city, you can kind of do what you want. So they do not have primaries, so there are 4 people on the mayor ballot. And then in Ward 3, because since Bruce Miller isn't running again, Nate Truesdale is running, and he is running unopposed for Ward 3. And then in Ward 4, which is the southeast end of town by Champlin Park High School, that is Ryan Sabis against Rebecca Halling, and I hope I'm saying her name right. I think it's Halling. Halling, maybe? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, that's the state. That's what's going on right now in Champlin. So there are 3 races on the ballot. There are always 3 races because of the little quirky 2-year mayor thing, which I don't frickin' get.
Right. It's ridiculous. I suppose at any given year, any given election year, power can change hands. But that doesn't really work that way anywhere else. So I think it's kind of strange.
Well, and I don't like not having primaries. I don't like...
No.
I think you should get down to 2 people. I don't think it should... we could potentially have 13 people running for mayor. We'd be a circus like Minneapolis.
Oh.
So I just think we could have ranked choice voting, too, which is just stupid.
Yeah.
So, I don't like that. Certainly those are changes... I don't want to say I'm looking to make because I'm not part of the power structure, but we'll see what happens. I may have a little influence, who knows. But just to lay out the state of the race, the mayor's race is very strange. I don't know how to describe it. I've never seen 2 candidates run for mayor who aren't really out there doing anything. There is a person named Tim Hutner who is running. I have seen a few signs for him. He did not show up at the candidate forum, so I don't know. He does have a little bit of a web presence, but I don't really know what he's doing running. The 4th gentleman, I don't even remember his name. Doesn't matter. Who cares? It's just, I don't know why you fill out something and waste people's time like that. I think it's down really to 2 people. It really always has been down to Ryan Karasik, who is Ward 1. So he is either going to be on the council or he's going to be mayor because his seat isn't up. And then Bruce Miller from Ward 3. And they're,
right.
The thing about Champlin doesn't really have the factions the way Crystal does.
Yeah, I mean, it's split a little bit because you've got a lot of that money along the river, and then you've kind of got everybody else.
Right, and there is a new end of town and an old end of town, if you will. I would say Ward 2 is kind of the new end of town, where a lot of the Wards 3 and 4, I think, is more houses that have been there for 30 years or whatever when Champlin was first built up. And a lot of commercial stuff has come in along 169. It's really the only commercial area of Champlin.
Right.
Is the 169 corridor or whatever the hell they call it, from from 610 up to the river before you get into Anoka, and that really is the only commercial area there. So it is still a little bit of a growing town, not much, but there's still some of that newer feel there that maybe there is in a town like Robbinsdale or Crystal. And the mayor's race is sort of shaping up as Bruce Miller is sort of the candidate who I think wants to keep Champlin the way it is. I got a feeling Ryan Karasik is the guy who wants to sort of make it into a Lakeville or a Maple Grove. And
right. And again, I mean, we talked about this last time with the guy running in Ward 4 at Crystal, Jeff Munson, being a real estate agent and kind of using his position to help his job a little bit. And Ryan Karasik, I'm not saying he's doing that, but as a real estate agent in that area, I know that there's been some questions around that, and I think that he would probably like to see a lot of that coming into Champlin.
Yeah, and it's to me it's questionable. I mean, to be on the EDA and on the council and voting or not voting for things that are from your company. I mean, that's I don't know what the law is on that. I don't know what the ethics are. I think it's questionable. I'm not saying people in real estate can't serve. I'm not saying that, but I think there are some questions around that. I think Karasik is trying to win by saying as little as possible.
Yeah.
Basically, he loves Champlin. That's his answer to every question. Or he starts crying about his daughters or something. I don't know. There's not. I don't think he's a bad guy, but there's not much substance to him. He wrote something on his website, which I dubbed the Karasik Manifesto, which is mind-numbing to read. And after you read it, it's just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo. It looks like a bunch of words just thrown on a page, and somebody poured water on it, and that's just how it ended up. It's just kind of, I think Bruce Miller is a candidate who will take a stand on something. I think he'll be principled on something. I don't think he'll just say whatever he can to get elected. I think you have, again, it's kind of a personality thing. I think you really have two different people running for this position. And they're both experienced. They've both been on the council. They were both on the planning commission. They both are active. It's not a situation where you have somebody coming out of nowhere running. And I will say that for both of them. And Karasik, to me, also has a little bit of a conflict. He supposedly or allegedly, or I don't know what, created this community fund or something for Champlin. And so allegedly it's a 501c3, though I don't really know what they do. It's something I'm looking into, but I think, as being on the council and being the head of a 501c3, I mean, you can't do that. I mean, if you were in the legislature, that would never be allowed.
Right.
So it's something that, I'm not really sure what it is exactly, but it's just questionable. And so he just looks like a guy who just wants to be mayor. That's all I can really say for him. And Councilman Miller looks like somebody who will kind of come in and get things done and be fired up about it a little bit. So it's very different. I do think it's a little personality driven, though.
I think so too. And I don't know. It may come down to a choice of do you want more roundabouts in Champlin or not? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I see Karasik as just kind of a sponge who's. He's just not a guy that's going to go out on a limb too much. I think he has higher political ambitions, and that worries me too. I don't want anybody using an office for a stepping stone. I think that's, if you choose to run for something in the future, that's one thing. But if you're going to he just got elected to a 4-year term. Why does he want to run for mayor when he's already on the council? It's kind of head scratching. So, Bruce is giving up his seat.
His term's up.
Yeah, he's gone. So, I don't know. It's just an interesting race to see and to see two candidates also in there. You never know how that's going to muck it up. Even if they only get 5 or 10% of the vote, you never know what that does to the rest of the field.
That's true.
Contrasting that with Ward 3, where Nate Truesdale's running unopposed. Nate is somebody who's been on the planning commission. He's been very active. Not a newcomer to Champlin or anything at all. I know he grew up in Golden Valley, but he's lived in Champlin for quite a while. I think we'll be well served by Nate as the Ward 3 rep, and I hope that doesn't hurt.
I agree.
Him there to get that compliment from me. But I think we'll be in good hands with Nate for 4 years. And I have to say, Ward 4, which I'm about to do a write-up on as well, probably this weekend, is also shaping up to be very similar to the mayor's race. You got Ryan Sabas, who has run for mayor. He's been on the park board. So he's not a newcomer. And he is running against a relative newcomer. Her name's Rebecca Halling. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm saying because I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But she seems to be somebody who seems to be a very nice person. But I'm unclear as to what she would do if elected. And I fear that she'd be somebody who just kind of sides with the majority or sides with, goes with the wind or whatever. I see Mr. Sabas as, again, like Bruce Miller, a guy who's going to be more principled. This is a guy who has run before, so he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
And I see that race very similar. And again, Ward 4 is the southeast of 169, west of the river. I don't know how else to describe it. So it's not that huge. And but again, I do see it as a little more style versus substance again. I'm not sure that the candidates don't I don't think they have any animus toward each other.
Yeah.
But it really comes across. I challenge people to watch the candidate forum and listen to the responses. And Ryan Sabas is very well prepared, very, he could have talked for an hour and a half on a question. And I think his opponent, Miss Halling, looked nervous and looked. I'm just worried she'll just kind of get carried along for the ride somewhere if she wins.
Right. Well, and Ryan knows his stuff. I mean, I know that a couple of years ago I had spoken with him when he had ran for the mayor seat, and he does his homework. I mean, that's very apparent, and so I think that people will be well served by him. Yeah,
I think he's the favorite there for whatever that's worth. Again, I don't have, living in the city for 6 months, I have no freaking clue what's going to happen. But, but if I could, the issues in Champlin, and I just want to say something about the issues.
Yeah.
They're very different than in Crystal. There's issues with, there's a development called the Mississippi Crossing, which is over by the River Road there, and it meets 169. It's been under construction and stuff for a long. There's a lot of issues that go with it. I don't want to get into the details. There was an attempt to get some work in the bonding bill. I know Hennepin and Anoka County are working on stuff with that, and there's land there to be developed, and what goes there, and the traffic over there, and that kind of thing. Getting across the river, it's an issue. They do have some shared services there. Champlin and Anoka do share the fire department, so they have moved in that direction, like some other places have. And there are some opportunities along 169. They just went through a controversy with the Man Theater. I had blogged about it about a month ago. about they had asked the city for a bailout. Apparently, they're going to close. Apparently, that is the word that the inside info I have. And but there are some development opportunities along that corridor as well. There's 169 kind of divides the city, and there's one pedestrian crossing I know over 114th. I think there's another one in Brooklyn Park, but as Champlin continues to have families there, it is a little bit of an issue how the city's divided between 169. I mean, it's just going to be.
Yeah.
That's just a reality that they have to face, and so. So the issues seem to be much different than they are in Crystal. The infrastructure's newer.
Yeah.
Crystal was built up in the 50s, and a lot of those things, Champlin still has a ways to go before that stuff happens. So,
right.
So I've been studying their budgets and their comprehensive plan and their CAFR, and after the election, I'll kind of be going forward, I think, on some posts about that, about the direction they're heading. And just like Crystal, they're going to have to rewrite their comprehensive plan. The Planning Commission will be very involved in that. I believe they have to have it done by the end of 2018. So the next 2 years will be very critical for the future of the city, just like here.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
And they do have some roundabouts, which drives me nuts. I have to take one home every day. And again, I mean, a roundabout's okay if the people want it. It's not okay if it's being forced by a government above you.
Right.
There is that distinction I try to make. I don't see anybody going to council meetings petitioning for roundabouts, but that's just me. Maybe I haven't. There are, and the more info I get, the more I will go forward. There are some complaints about the Champlin police. That is one thing that I have. I was on National Night Out, and if I got one negative, if there's something viewed negatively, I think it is the Champlin police. So,
well, let's just say with what I do for a living, I do work up in Champlin monthly, and I know that there have been some issues up there with the police as well. Yeah. With the place that I contract out of. I'm going to keep it as general as that because I don't want them getting hassled, but to say the least, they've been getting, people from the police department just kind of dropping in and harassing them a little bit, And,
well, I'll say this, they're constantly at Andrews Park. Sometimes the CSO is there during a big event, which is not a big deal, but the police should be there to maintain order, not to prevent people from having fun. And it's a public park, we're paying for it. So, I've got my eyes and ears on to anything going on there. I can tell you their reputation is questionable. Yeah. And I don't mean from like what you see on TV, like a race point of view.
Right.
Just sort of, the council's a little bit limited on what they can do about that. There are avenues they can take. They do employ the city manager. I mean, there are things they can do, and I'm sure that they have good professional people there. But if there is a negative that I get from my neighbors and things, it's not so much about the tax levy or anything like that. It is the police are blank, and I'll just not fill in the blank, just leave it at that. So there is and of course there's, and I always say this, I'm not a police apologist, I'm not a police basher.
Right.
And unfortunately it feels like you have to take one of the two positions. You can't be a person who just judges things based on the circumstance. So I try not to. I've been there 6 months, and I haven't said a word about the police. I mean, their chief didn't make the best impression on me. He's kind of a little whiner, and what he said in front of the legislature 4 years ago was where he basically was pro a gun law. I thought was kind of outrageous, but whatever. I'm willing to see what happens and not prejudge it. So that's kind of where I'm at. That's one of the reasons I haven't blogged about anything, because I've just been letting it play out, experience it for myself. There are a few speed traps over there. Don't speed on Dayton Road. There's always a cop hiding there. It's a road that should be 50 miles an hour and it's 30. But as soon as you got a Champlin, it's 50. So people have a hard time slowing down when they come in. They get dinged all the time, and I think it's on purpose. So whatever, I don't know. They're a little sensitive on social media too. So it's just, something, I don't know what to say about it. But that's sort of the state of the race. Again, look for my post on the Ward 4 debate. You can read the one I wrote up about the mayor's race as well, which is also on our blog, which is
comsolutionsmn.com.
I still do the long way, which is communitysolutionsmn.wordpress.com. Yeah, so you can do either one. And we're going to be back very soon for another one of these, right?
Absolutely. If you have anything, you see anything in the community of interest, give us an email. Go to our blog, communicate with us, let us know, and we'll be all over it. So,
and get out and vote. I don't care if you don't like Clinton, if you don't like Trump, doesn't matter. Remember the appeal we made last time? That appeal applies again.
Absolutely. And in case you didn't listen to it because it was about Crystal and not about Champlin, the most power is really at the local levels. It affects what happens every day. Write in for President Mickey Mouse or vote for one of the third parties. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you support these good people at the local level. So don't stay home on election day.
Yeah, please don't. There's nothing on TV anyway but election coverage. You might as well participate.
That's right.
All right, till next time.
Yes, thank you, and we'll see you soon.